Sorry for the delay in delivery.
We're terminating the contract. As expected, John apologized with a single email without any remorse, so I responded firmly. Then, surprisingly, I got a call from Emma.
We'll look elsewhere.
She said that abruptly and hung up. She probably thought I would come begging to renew the contract. But I would never do that. I intended to cut ties with them for good today. Do you think you've won, or are you just bluffing? Either way, you're a complete fool. I muttered to myself, feeling a small spark of determination. The next day, while casually browsing the news, I saw an interesting headline. Popular beauty portal site reports $50 million loss for Q1 2024, first revenue decline since founding. This was exactly as I had predicted. My name is Michael, 40 years old. I work for Infinite Beauty Company, a cosmetic startup. Infinite Beauty Company was founded by a few of us from a major pharmaceutical company. I am the Senior Executive Officer and Marketing Director, and my photo is embarrassingly on our website. Today, I have a meeting with a major advertising agency.
Unlock your infinite beauty, huh?
Yes, that's the origin of our company name, Infinite Beauty Co-E. While receiving my business card, John raised an eyebrow suspiciously. He is the son of the president of Misstyle Inc., a company that runs a comprehensive beauty portal site.
So, this product you recently developed, what was it again?
John asked me while pointing at the small sample bottle I had submitted. I leaned forward slightly and carefully explained the product we had painstakingly developed. It's Men's Infinite Radiance, a popular men's skincare line from our company.
Oh, right. Can you send a large batch of these samples to our quality department? That's okay, right, Emma?
John asked sweetly to the young woman sitting next to him. Her name is Emma. She just joined Misstyle Inc. She has a flashy look with colored contacts and heavy eye makeup and unnaturally pale skin. Rumor has it that she is John's favorite, and he gets overly sweet when talking to her during business meetings.
Yes, we need to verify the quality ourselves before we can feature them.
Emma, you're such a career woman now. I'm impressed.
John didn't hesitate to place his rough right hand on her delicate right hand. But Emma didn't seem to mind, and instead smiled warmly at him. John's nose stretched in delight at her smile. After the meeting, I sent the Men's Infinite Radiance samples to Misstyle Inc., as instructed. But after a week, then 2, there was no response from them. I even sent a follow-up email, but still nothing. I began to worry that I might have sent the samples to the wrong address. As a professional, they should at least acknowledge receipt, so I decided to call them. The other day, we sent samples of our skincare products to your quality department. Is Emma available?
Oh, this is Emma. What do you need?
I felt a sense of relief as I unexpectedly got through to her directly. However, Emma's tone was clearly annoyed. We hadn't heard back from you, so I was wondering how you found our products.
Could you not pester us with phone calls these days?
Emma snapped at me with a sharp, curt tone. Come to think of it, I remember hearing at a management seminar that young people these days dislike phone calls. Feeling the generational gap keenly, I responded humbly. I'm sorry, I did send emails, but I didn't get a response. It might have been a sending error on our part. Just in case, could you check your email? I heard the rough clicking of a mouse on the other end of the line.
Oh, Infinite Beauty Co. Oh, there it is in the spam folder.
Emma stated that nonchalantly. For a moment, it felt like she was saying I was a nuisance myself. During our meeting, she seemed more cheerful and approachable, but over the phone, she came off as quite indifferent. So, how did you find our products? I tried to steer the conversation back. Emma replied with an uninterested tone.
They weren't bad.
I see. It seemed this conversation wasn't going anywhere. I decided to change the angle a bit. During our meeting with John, he mentioned creating a dedicated page for men's infinite radiance on your portal site.
Did he now?
Yes, he did. I wondered what that meeting was all about. Emma hadn't even reviewed the minutes. Could I speak with John, please? It would be very helpful if you could connect me to him.
I'll take the message. What do you need?
It's about the dedicated page. I wanted to end this fruitless exchange quickly. Finally, some help came.
Oh, John.
Emma's tone suddenly shifted to a much higher pitch. It seemed John was nearby.
The guy from the other day is pestering us. Please help, John.
Oh, all right.
Even though I couldn't see them, their flirting made me feel slightly uncomfortable.
Hey, John, that skincare product had a nice texture. I want more samples. They're expensive to buy,
I'll buy them for you.
but it's handy to have travel sizes for overnight stays.
Overnight stays. Yes, that's true.
What was I listening to? I wanted to quietly put the receiver down. I sent those samples because John suggested that if our products were well received internally, they might create a dedicated page for men's infinite radiance on their portal site. If they were only for personal use, I would be quite upset.
But Emma, those are men's products, right? Do you want them that much?
They seem to suit my skin well. Look, it's so smooth.
Oh, it really is.
I didn't even want to imagine what those two were doing on the other end of the line. I just wished they would press the hold button.
Emma, I'll take the call.
Please do.
Finally, John took the receiver. I let out a short sigh and straightened my posture.
Michael, Men's Infinite Radiance has gotten rave reviews internally, but we need to evaluate it a bit more. So please send more samples.
More samples. As we talked, I realized something. Right now, he's more focused on Emma than on work. The internal reviews he's talking about are likely just Emma's opinion. While I was glad she liked our product, we weren't sending samples as a favor. I quickly came up with an excuse. I'm sorry. We're currently out of stock. We're honored that you like our product. How about the dedicated page on your portal site? Then Emma muttered sulkily on the other end.
Men's Infinite Radiance are rare because they're only sold in physical stores in New York. I wanted to share them with my friends and show off.
Well, if they're out of stock, there's nothing we can do.
John, trying to console Emma, didn't seem troubled at all. Rather, he seemed genuinely pleased to be needed by her. John thought for a moment and then made a decision.
Our quality department has given the green light. So yes, let's create the dedicated page.
Really? Thank you so much. To be honest, I had a bad feeling that this deal might fall through. If our products were featured on such a well-known beauty portal site, our sales could double or triple. And having a dedicated page would mean we might need to expand our production line. I gripped the receiver, a bit excited. Then, could we discuss the design and direction of the page? Please let me know what documents are needed.
Sure, we'll talk later.
John quickly ended the call. I made a small fist pump, unexpectedly securing a big deal. The awkward atmosphere between those two and Emma's casual attitude were somewhat concerning, but the results were worth it. However, I would later realize how naive and reckless this thought was. I was shocked when I saw the schedule Emma sent for the page's launch. It was so unreasonable that I called again to protest. Is this Emma?
Yes, it is. As I said before, please stop calling out of the blue.
Emma's voice was openly annoyed. Emma, I hate to bring this up, but the scheduled launch is a year from now. Didn't we agree on 3 months? When I pressed her, she responded irritably.
We're doing you a favor by featuring it, so it's fine if it takes a bit longer. We're not in a hurry.
But we had been preparing extensively for this launch. It was our first time selling online. We've been coordinating staffing and reorganizing our inventory management system.
There's not much difference between a year and 3 months.
This woman didn't seem to grasp the seriousness of the situation at all. Realizing this wasn't going anywhere, I decided to be clear. I will visit your office tomorrow. Let's discuss this in person.
Tomorrow, out of the blue? That's highly unreasonable, don't you think?
I barely held back from telling her who was being unreasonable. After some persuasion, Emma reluctantly agreed to meet with me tomorrow. It would be helpful if John could join us as well. I emphasized to her that having just Emma present wouldn't mean much, even if I went all the way there.
Yeah, I'll mention it. Anyway, he comes running when I call.
I gave a wry smile. Her final casual remark gave me a glimpse into their relationship. The next day, I headed to Mistyle Inc. with determination. In the conference room, John and Emma were leisurely chatting over coffee.
Emma, let's have dinner together tonight.
Of course, I want steak. Lots of prime steak.
All right. I'll make a reservation at my favorite place.
At the entrance of the conference room, I hesitated to step in. Their conversation was like that of a hostess and a regular customer at a nightclub. I cautiously stepped between them. Sorry to impose today. I didn't really need to apologize, but I made sure to be polite.
Really, we're busy too, you know?
He insisted on meeting, so we cleared our schedules and booked the conference room.
Emma said that condescendingly. I was determined not to be defeated by this atmosphere. As I mentioned on the phone yesterday, the schedule you gave us for the dedicated page launch is a year away. Our agreement was for 3 months. I placed the printed schedule in front of them. Seeing it, John crossed his arms and spoke hesitantly.
Oh, right. Is a year not okay?
You seem to be rushing us a lot.
They looked at each other and agreed in unison, right? I didn't back down and leaned in. We agreed on 3 months. We even signed a contract. A portion of the sales from the dedicated page goes to your company, and we're preparing accordingly. If the launch was delayed, it would undoubtedly cause confusion within our company. We're still a startup. I wanted to avoid anything that would lower employee morale. When I pleaded, John spoke indifferently.
Fine. 3 months it is. But we get 5 days to review each task, and your company has to respond the same day. Is that okay, Emma?
If that means no overtime, then sure.
I was furious. Reviewing all tasks within the same day was unheard of.
Oh, what's this? Michael, you seem angry. If you don't like it, we can cancel the dedicated page.
John threatened me lightly, but I couldn't back down for the sake of the company. All right, that's fine. Though unsatisfied, I accepted their unreasonable conditions. As expected, the dedicated page didn't progress according to schedule. John finally delivered the test page 4 months later.
Sorry for the delay in delivery.
We're terminating the contract. As expected, John apologized with a single email without any remorse, so I responded firmly. Then, surprisingly, I got a call from Emma.
We'll look elsewhere. There are plenty of good products besides Men's Infinite Radiance.
She said that abruptly and hung up. She probably thought I would come begging to renew the contract. But I would never do that. I intended to cut ties with them for good today. Do they think they've won? Or are they just bluffing? Either way, they're complete fools. I muttered to myself, feeling a small spark of determination. The next day, while casually browsing the news, I saw an interesting headline. Popular beauty portal site reports $50 million loss for Q1 2024, first revenue decline since founding. This was undoubtedly about misspelling. Well, just as I thought. This situation was exactly as I had predicted. I had been furious with the way those two handled their work. One day, at our monthly drinking party, I told my 2 college buddies about this, and they were deeply sympathetic.
Yeah, a lot of the staff there are like Emma. I bet John picks them based on looks.
Robert, who works for a major pharmaceutical company, joked about it. He belongs to the development department for quasi-drugs and medicinal cosmetics and has a close relationship with Misstyle Inc. Last year, over 60% of their online advertising budget was spent with Misstyle Inc.
Rumor has it, they manipulate the ratings in the review section. They deliberately lower the rankings of manufacturers that can't pay for ads.
Robert said that dismissively.
It's terrible. Manufacturers put their heart into making high-quality products to solve someone's problems.
James, who was reaching for some chips next to Robert, chimed in.
I had a similar experience recently. There aren't many competitors in the beauty portal site industry, so they've become arrogant.
James, who runs multiple medical beauty clinics and spas in New York, continued his complaints. Like me, He offered expensive free spa treatments to Emma and other female employees in exchange for a dedicated page for his spa.
And this is the result. Isn't it awful?
James took out his phone and showed us a screen. There was an unrefined spa introduction article that looked like it was made by an amateur.
There's no design sense, and the writer's quality is terrible. I decided not to renew the contract and thought I'd be better off making it myself. Our spa was the only one that suffered.
James recalled and sighed.
Since there are many competitors around, I've been warning them to be careful with those guys.
As the drinks flowed, our complaints about Misstyle Inc.'s methods didn't stop. Eventually, we all reached the same conclusion. Let's cut ties with Misstyle Inc. Our usual drinking party turned into a rally with a different purpose. In the midst of this, James mentioned something that piqued my interest.
Recently, we've had a customer at our spa who's been very generous with his money.
Listening to James, a hypothesis formed in my mind. A week had passed since the shocking news of the $50 million loss had spread. As expected, John contacted me. "Hello, what can I do for you?" John spoke in a relaxed tone.
Michael, why don't we work together again? This time we'll create a dedicated page as soon as possible.
What was he saying now? I firmly refused. I have no intention of doing business with your company again. I stated that flatly and was about to hang up. Then I heard a woman yelling hysterically on the other end.
John, you're the CEO's son. You need to be more assertive.
I'm trying, aren't I? Emma, don't be so angry, okay?
I just got told from above. If we don't renew the contract with Men's Infinite Radiance, our bonuses will be cut.
They really needed to learn to use the hold button. I didn't have the time to listen to such petty conversations. Are we done here? Sorry, but we're extremely busy. And that wasn't a lie. After ending the contract with Misstyle Inc., we succeeded in increasing our sales through other means. We quickly launched the official Men's Infinite Radiance video channel, where our president himself became the face of the product and spread reviews, a very straightforward approach. Our president has always been a good speaker and has remarkably youthful skin despite him being 45 years old. He is dedicated to his fitness routine at the gym and pays a lot of attention to his diet, making his good looks the result of his hard work. Many viewers found his words convincing and ended up buying the products. We realized from the start that we had the wrong promotional strategy. We've decided to do our PR steadily through our own media without relying on your company.
That's a problem for us. In the past few months, many companies like yours have been terminating their contracts. It's a result of reviewing our advertising expenses.
This situation was undoubtedly evidence that Robert and James, like me, had started to impose sanctions on misstyling.
Due to the reduction in advertising expenses, our planned overseas expansion for next year might be canceled too.
John was beginning to sound tearful as he pleaded. But that was none of my concern. People who readily disclose internal affairs to outsiders aren't trustworthy. Sooner or later, we were bound to cut ties with them. That's a tough situation. I said that in a flat, emotionless tone.
Right? Oh, I just thought of a good idea. I'll head over there right now.
right now? I was utterly exasperated by his self-centered disregard for our schedule. However, I decided to give them one last chance and reluctantly agreed to the meeting. An hour later, John and Emma showed up happily, without any gifts. I led them to the hastily prepared guest meeting room. I have another meeting soon, so please keep this brief. Naturally, I didn't offer them any coffee. But John, acting arrogantly, plopped down on a chair.
Come here, Emma.
Sure.
I couldn't help but frown at their behavior. I also noticed that Emma had started speaking informally to John.
So, Michael, let's cut to the chase. How about we do exclusive sales for you? Managing your own media is too much trouble to sustain.
John's eyes sparkled as he said that. I was honestly speechless. Exclusive sales. How could he make such a self-serving proposal in this situation?
Exclusivity would increase rarity, and in the long run, it would contribute to sales. Emma, show him what you made.
Sure.
Emma, prompted by John, showed me an illustration. She must have made it in a hurry, as she proudly placed a hand-drawn piece of paper in front of me. Emma, what is this? I had never seen such an amateurish proposal before. Emma confidently explained.
As you can see, it's a proposal. We'll handle promotion, sales, inventory management, and shipping.
Wow, you're quite the capable woman.
I tried to stay calm, though it was a struggle. Isn't that beyond the scope of your company's operations? Do you have the expertise for this?
If you send us all the men's Infinite Radiance products you have, we'll ship them out in order. I often use flea market sites personally.
Flea market sites. What did these people think of our products, which we had painstakingly developed? Their disrespectful attitude toward the creators finally made me snap. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way I would entrust our valuable products to you. Emma, you're just planning to sell them at a high price behind our backs, aren't you? Taken aback by my sudden change in tone, they both stared at me with their mouths open. Emma, it seems you've fallen for the #1 host in Las Vegas. Should I mention his stage name right here? Emma's eyes widened in shock at the unexpected revelation.
How do you know Austin? Oh,
I smirked. Emma had dug her own grave. I remembered what James had said at that drinking party. There was a wealthy male customer who turned out to be Emma's main man. Emma, having fallen for the #1 host in Las Vegas, had been siphoning off the large batch of men's Infinite Radiance samples I sent to him. Of course, that wasn't all. John, haven't you been showering this woman with gifts? Not just prime steak, but also clothes and bags.
How do you know that?
Isn't this something you gave her? I showed John a certain account page on a flea market site. It displayed a lineup of branded bags, wallets, jewelry, and dresses used by international celebrities, most marked as sold. However, there were some items that hadn't sold despite being listed for a while.
It's the wallet I gave Emma the other day. See, I even paid extra to have her initials embroidered.
John pointed with a trembling finger at an image of a monogram wallet with the initials stitched on it. Emma's face turned pale as John pointed this out.
This isn't my account. I'm not doing this.
Oh, but you just mentioned earlier that you use flea market sites frequently. The money you made from selling these items, I wonder where it went. As I said this, John turned on Emma.
You're giving all this money to that host, Austin, aren't you?
Emma pressed her lips together and frowned, remaining silent. John, holding his mouth in shock, shouted angrily on the spot.
You never wore any of the things I bought you, did you? I thought they weren't to your taste. So I kept buying things you might like a fool.
But as John raged, Emma's expression suddenly turned cold. She raised one corner of her mouth and let out a creepy laugh.
What's so funny?
There's no way I could ever genuinely like someone like you. And don't put initials on things. That wallet has been unsold because of it, and its value has dropped.
What?
Emma, now unapologetic, finally spoke her mind.
I only got close to you because you're the CEO's son. You were happy to be with a young, beautiful girl like me, weren't you? You should be grateful.
You.
John, shaking with anger, was now being mocked by Emma. I stepped in between them. Let's get back on topic. I had no intention of listening to this petty squabble any longer. Turning to face them, I slowly tore up Emma's ridiculous proposal.
What are you doing?
Emma stood up quickly and glared at me. You can continue your argument as much as you like. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very busy, so I'll be taking my leave.
Wait. Please wait.
John hurriedly stood up, trying to grab my arm. I coldly pushed him away. I have nothing more to say.
Please. The company is really in danger.
John kept pleading, but I looked at him with contempt. The company's in danger? You brought this upon yourselves. You looked down on your clients, pursued only your own profits, and did whatever you pleased.
Don't say it like that.
John shrank visibly, and Emma looked at him with pity. I turned to Emma and coldly said, Don't think you're off the hook either. You're on the same level as him. Your cycle of giving and receiving is laughable from an outsider's perspective. Emma, feeling cornered, raised her voice in a shrill scream.
What the hell? Acting all high and mighty, old man?
Youth is not eternal. If you don't know how to age well, you'll regret it. Imagine the fate of someone who can't even follow basic manners and has only shallow knowledge. At that, Emma, like John, had nothing to say in response. Just then, there was a knock on the door, and the door to the conference room opened slightly and hesitantly. The receptionist peeked into the conference room.
Michael, your next appointment is here.
Thank you. I'll be right there. I left the two of them looking miserable and turned off the lights in the conference room. In the dark, John looked vacant and Emma was stunned. Without looking back at them, I left the room. As reported in the online news, Misstyle Inc. had accumulated a $50 million loss. The reasons included multiple companies pulling their ads after reviewing their advertising expenses, the exposure of manipulated reviews, and the entry of a major Chinese e-commerce competitor into the US market. However, I believe these were not the direct causes. Ultimately, the root causes were the management style of John and his team, and the presence of employees like Emma who had no sense of responsibility towards their work. In response to this issue, Miss Inc. decided to completely overhaul their management team. John, who had been a senior executive solely because he was the CEO's son, was fired. Emma, angry at losing John, who had been her biggest benefactor, and at having her bonus cut as a penalty for the terminated contract, impulsively resigned. However, no company was willing to hire someone with Emma's lack of experience and lazy attitude towards work. Still determined to meet her beloved man, Emma sold her belongings, turned to working in the nightlife industry, and spent all her earnings on Austin in Las Vegas. Despite knowing how all the money he spent on her was used, John couldn't forget Emma. He was occasionally seen wandering the corners of Las Vegas, pathetically chasing after Emma. Rejected each time for having no money left, John aged rapidly and now roams the streets, looking almost like a homeless person. As for me, I'm now focusing on marketing a new skincare series, following the success of Men's Infinite Radiance. The daily grind is intense, but my satisfaction is high. Today is the monthly drinking party with Robert and James. With the post-work beer as my goal, I fired up my computer with renewed determination.